The sun has not yet cleared the horizon, and already the air outside Babylon's northern gate is thick with sound. Somewhere beyond the mud brick haze, temple bells mark the changing of the night watch, and the low groan of cartwheels signals that the grain caravans have begun their approach along the outer road. You are standing before a wall so vast it seems to swallow the coming dawn. A wall the Greek historian Herodotus once claimed could run a chariot along its top, though modern archaeologists treat that claim with caution rather than certainty. What is not in doubt is the scale beneath your feet. Double ramparts of fired brick and bitumen mortar, moated on the outer face, wide enough that Nebuchadnezzar II's own building inscriptions boast of raising them to protect a city he called the bond of heaven and earth. Before you go further, if the idea of walking through a lost empire brick by brick is the kind of thing you want more of, this is exactly the channel for that. So stay with this one to the end and consider subscribing before we step through the gate. And then the gate itself. The Ishtar Gate rises in glazed blue brick, each tile fired and set with a precision that still confounds those who study it today. Its surface alive with rows of golden lions, bulls, and the horned dragons called Mushashu, sacred to the god Marduk. Dedication inscriptions left by Nebuchadnezzar describe the gate as built for the wonder of all peoples, and standing beneath it, that boast does not feel like exaggeration. The blue is the blue of lapis lazuli, though it is glass and copper and cobalt that produce it, a chemistry the Babylonians perfected long before anyone wrote down how. The processional way stretches beyond it, paved in limestone and red breccia, flanked by walls where dozens more lions stride in relief, each one facing the temple of Marduk as though guarding the god's own road. Walk this avenue at the hour we are walking it now, and the city reveals itself in layers of noise. Merchants unroll woven mats stacked with dates, barley, sesame oil, and dried fish, hauled up the Euphrates on flat-bottomed boats. A scribe sits cross-legged near a mud brick archive wall, pressing a reed stylus into wet clay, recording a grain transaction that, remarkably, some version of might survive for us to read 3,000 years later, because Babylon's tablets, unlike its wood and cloth, do not decay. The people around you wear linen and wool dyed in shades of ochre and deep red, jewelry of carnelian and gold at the wrists of the wealthier merchants, while laborers move past in plainer cloth, their hair often bound close against the heat. It is easy to imagine Babylon only through its wonders, but the truth is that this was, first, a working city, run by an intricate bureaucracy of scribes, temple officials, and royal administrators, all of it recorded on the very tablets now filling museum drawers across the world. Turn from the avenue toward the sacred district and Esagila comes into view, the great temple of Marduk, its precinct heavy with the scent of cedar resin and roasting meat from temple offerings. Priests move in procession, and beyond them, dominating the skyline more than any wall or gate, rises Etemenaki, the temple tower the Babylonians themselves called the foundation of heaven and earth. Its terraced stages climb in mud brick and baked brick, and later writers, working from garbled memory and secondhand report, would tie a version of this tower to the biblical story of Babel. What the archaeological record actually shows is a ziggurat rebuilt and expanded across centuries, its base roughly 90 meters on each side according to cuneiform building texts, though its full original height remains a matter of scholarly reconstruction rather than certainty, since the tower itself was later dismantled and its ruins picked apart long before anyone thought to measure it properly. But this magnificent structure hides another story, one written not in stone, but in the sky above it. Because Babylon was not only a city of gates and gods, it was a city of numbers. In the quiet districts near the temple, astronomer priests kept nightly watch, recording the movements of Venus and the paths of the moon on tablets that formed some of the oldest continuous astronomical records in human history.
Babylonian mathematicians worked in a base 60 system, whose fingerprints remain in the way time and angles are still divided into 60 parts. None of this happened in isolation from the rest of the city's life. It happened alongside canals threading between neighborhoods, alongside date palm groves irrigated by an engineered network drawing off the Euphrates, alongside a royal palace complex, the site most closely associated with the so-called hanging terraces described by later Greek and Roman writers, a feature no Babylonian text yet confirms in the form legend remembers it. The farther you walk into the city, the more extraordinary and the more uncertain the record becomes. And that tension between what we can prove and what we merely inherited as story is part of what makes Babylon worth returning to. If you are enjoying uncovering that tension with me, a like on this video genuinely helps more people find it. By midday, the docks along the Euphrates are crowded with barges unloading cedar from Lebanon, copper from Anatolia, and textiles from across a trade network that reached the Persian Gulf. Soldiers of the royal garrison move in disciplined lines near the palace gates, a visible reminder that this splendor rested on Nebuchadnezzar's military campaigns recorded in his own inscriptions and referenced in the Babylonian chronicles now held in the British Museum. Inside the palace itself, throne room walls are faced in more glazed brick, patterned in rosettes and palm columns, a private echo of the public grandeur outside. It is here that royal authority was made physical in brick and color and scale, a language every subject of the empire could read without a single word of cuneiform. As the afternoon wears on, the light over Babylon turns the color of the glazed bricks themselves, gold sliding into deep amber across the Ishtar Gate. Vendors begin folding their mats, the temple bells sound again, and it's worth pausing here in this glow to remember what this city could not yet know, that within a few generations of this very afternoon, Babylon's walls would still stand, but its independent power would not, that a Persian king named Cyrus would one day walk through gates like these without a fight, and that centuries after that, the mud brick itself would slowly return to the earth it came from, until the ziggurat's base was rubble, and the processional way lay buried under silt and sand, waiting nearly 2,500 years for archaeologists to begin lifting it brick by numbered brick back into the light. But none of that has happened yet. The sun is only now beginning to set, and the gate glows one last time before the stars appear over the astronomer priest's rooftops. And if you were to stand here again tomorrow at the very first light of dawn, you would find the same golden glow striking the same blue tiles, the same caravans approaching the same gate, the city beginning its day exactly as it began the one we just walked through together. A city for one more sunrise, still at the height of everything it would ever be.